Inside the Magic, show number 463 for February 16th, 2014. It is Sunday, February 16th, 2014. This is show 463 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti, with a lot of really fun things from Walt Disney World and other parts of the world of Disney this week. Before we jump into all of it, I do invite you to visit our website, as always, InsideTheMagic.net. There you will find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you ever have anything you want to send in, tips, comments, questions, news, anything like that, you can do so by emailing me at ricky@insidethemagic.net, or you can always call and leave a voice message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. Escape to your own carefree tropical getaway with Disney Cruise Line and save 20% off prevailing rates on select 3- and 4-night Bahamian cruises sailing from Port Canaveral in early this year, 2014. Don't let this offer sail by. You're going to want to call Magical Travel immediately at 866-207-8387, or you can visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And be sure to mention Inside the Magic when you contact them to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And of course, thanks very much to all contributors to Inside the Magic, donations, clicking through affiliate links on the website. It all supports everything that I do, and I thank you very much for all of it. And now, let's get started with a trip around the world. There have definitely been some very interesting things happening over the last few days, starting with the minutes immediately after I recorded last week's show, all the way up until now. Really, probably the most exciting thing to happen within the last week is the announcement of the big annual Walt Disney World Summer Media event is going to be held once again. They do this right before the summer every year, so it should be no surprise that it's happening. And you can probably imagine what it is mostly in promotion of, that is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So I received a save-the-date note saying this event will be taking place April 30th through May 2nd. Now, you might immediately think, hey, that means it's the grand opening of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Well, not so fast. It could be sooner. It could be actually later. They're calling it a preview of the mine train, so I'm not sure what that means quite yet. I don't know if that means it's not going to be ready by then. I highly doubt that. It's got to be up and running by then. I mean, that's a long time from now, and actually just this week, some construction walls started coming down around the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Of course, I'm talking about the final piece of New Fantasyland over at the Magic Kingdom. So I would have to guess that it's going to at least soft open before then, and then will be open in time for that big event. In addition to the mine train, of course, Disney will be talking about much more. Maybe they'll make some announcements as well. They'll be including things like Princess Fairy Tale Hall, which of course has been open for quite a while. The Festival of Fantasy Parade, which doesn't debut, right now it doesn't debut until next month, but by the time this event rolls around at the end of April, it will have been around for a month and a half or so. Definitely be talking about more about that parade later in this week's show, so stay tuned for that. I'll also be talking about MyMagic Plus, which is an interesting topic because right now it's still very much in the midst of testing with magic bands and everything, so presumably, maybe, possibly, that will be all officially ready to roll out by this event. Other topics are restaurants and maybe Disney Springs and maybe, I don't know, the list could go on, maybe even a little hint of Avatar, who knows. So pretty exciting whenever Disney holds these big annual media events. Should, produce at least something interesting out of all of it. So you can look forward to hearing more about that in a few months, at the end of April, early May. Now, I mentioned MyMagic Plus, and ongoing certainly is testing right now for a variety of people. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World hotel, you can already have access to Magic Bands and FastPass Plus and all of that. In fact, traditional FastPass is gone at this point. You can't get a paper FastPass anymore. Those who don't have a Magic Band or aren't linked up to the My Disney Experience online system can visit a kiosk in the parks to schedule your FastPass Plus appointments, if you want to call it reservations, I guess, for a variety of attractions attractions and whatnot. But Disney just sent out an email recently to annual pass holders for Walt Disney World saying they are actively including annual pass holders as part of the test as well. Not all pass holders just yet, but some pass holders. And you can't sign up if you're an annual pass holder. You just have to be invited at some point. They're going to bring more and more pass holders on as they continue to test this further and further. You know, it's a slow rollout. It always has been a slow rollout. So it does seem to be moving forward pretty well towards, as I said, towards that big sort of media event at the end of April, which is probably going to be the official debut of all of this MyMagic Plus, Magic Band Fast Pass Plus system. So a lot to look forward to there. Now, I mentioned there was news immediately after recording last week's show. And this is disappointing news because on last week's show I had talked a bit about sort of the commotion that was surrounding Push the Talking Trash Can in Tomorrowland, the Magic Kingdom, that there was talks that he was going away. It was going away, but then Disney came out and told the Orlando Sentinel, no, Push is not going anywhere. Well, so that's what I reported last week, and right after I finished recording last week, it turned out they were wrong, if you want to call it that. I guess it was bad timing because Push the Trash Can is gone. Really, really gone this time from the Magic Kingdom. Listed as closed within cast member systems. He's not there. You can't find him. The contract with the owner of Push, the creator, I should say, of Push the Trash Can, the contract was not renewed. I hear they are still in talks, so there's, you know, hope for the future that Push may return, but for now, you're not going to find Push the Trash Can. Well, at least, you know, you'll still find trash cans. They just don't move and talk. So that's it for that. Now, speaking of removing things from the parks, it was just recently announced that coming this June, the Mickey's Gem and Jungle Parade over at Disney's Animal Kingdom will also be going away. It is apparently in the way of Avatar Land construction in some fashion or another, onstage, backstage viewing areas, etc. So after almost 13 years of daily shows at Animal Kingdom, that parade will sail off into the distance and not return. No new parade has been announced, though there is a lot of nighttime entertainment planned for that park. Street performances, lagoon show, glowing foliage, things like that. Once Avatar Land, Pandora, World of Avatar, whatever you want to call it, once that debuts several years from now, in 2017. Until then, it's not entirely clear what's going to be going on in the streets, if anything, but if you want to see Mickey's Jam and Jungle Parade, get out there ASAP, because you only have a few months left. Now, for some much more exciting news than that, things are going away here. Meanwhile, in Paris, Disneyland Paris, they have revealed new details and a closer look at not only the Ratatouille ride that is going to the Walt Disney Studios park, but even a Ratatouille-themed mini-land that is opening up around it. It's including not only a ride, but a restaurant and a shop. The ride, and okay, I apologize, this is in French. I guarantee I'm not going to pronounce this right. The official name of the ride is Ratatouille l'Aventure Totalement Toqué de Remy. Yeah. Adventure of Remy. Ratatouille the Ride, for us English speakers. Anyway, in the ride, you're going to shrink down to the size of a rat and go on a Ratatouille-style adventure, of course inspired by the Pixar film. Go through the kitchen and dining room of Gusteau's. In the surrounding area, you're going to be trying to avoid the nemesis from the film, Chef Skinner. It's all being put into the new corner of the Toon Studio area of the park. Of course, it's all going to be themed to Paris, so you're going to get a little mini Paris within real Paris. Linguini's going to be there as a new meet and greet character available. The ride will feature trackless Ratmobile vehicles, so should be pretty fun and exciting. The restaurant is also going to be rat scale restaurant, table service restaurant. It's going to be called Bistro Chez Remy, and it will be actually connected to the ride, visible even on the ride, so kind of a Blue Bayou sort of thing, like at Disneyland's Pirates. Of course, the restaurant's going to serve ratatouille, among other French dishes, and then all of that is opening this coming summer, so pretty exciting there. Shortly thereafter, a store will open called, where did it go? There it is, Chez Marianne Souvenirs de Paris, and that's going to open in fall of this year, completing that area, so pretty exciting. If you want to see some video, some more details from the announcement, head over to InsideTheMagic.net. Now, here's something new that is not Disney, but opened up here in the Orlando area, actually down a little bit south of Walt Disney World in Kissimmee. I believe I've talked about in the past, probably when it opened a few months ago in Halloween season, there was legends haunting at Old Town. You might know Old Town, the little area of Kissimmee with Ferris wheel and go-karts and shops and that kind of thing. Well, haunted house, year-round haunted house is opened up there. Well, now they've added ghost tours. This is not like a spooky haunted house, haunted attraction sort of thing. This is like legit ghost tours, take you around the area and talk to you about actual paranormal encounters that people have had throughout there, as well as taking you through the haunted attraction without all the effects and everything, just telling you interesting and entertaining stories. So it's called the Ghosts of Old Town. It takes about an hour and a half. I went on it. It was quite entertaining. So you can head over to the website to learn more about that as well. Turning away from the parks, here's some interesting news from the Walt Disney Company. They are launching something completely new for Disney. It's called Disney Accelerator, and it's a program in which they're going to help startup companies. They're actually looking for 10 early stage companies with sort of ideas in entertainment or consumer media. They're going to invest $120,000 into these companies, as well as offer them mentorship from areas like Pixar and Marvel and Lucasfilm and ESPN and Imagineering. Even Disney CEO Bob Iger will be hands-on with the companies. It's all going to be based out of Los Angeles, and if you have a company that's in these fields and you want to apply, your application's due by April 16th, so you have some time to put it all together. Just look for Disney Accelerator online. Surely you'll find it and find out all the details, and certainly good luck if it applies to you. In the world of short films, a new one is now available for download and viewing for free online from Disney Interactive. It's called Blank, a Vinylmation Love Story. It's a 38-minute short film starring Vinylmations. I saw a bit of this at the D23 Expo a few months ago. It was okay. I think I only saw about 5 minutes of it, and that was perhaps 5 minutes too much. But if you're a big Vinylmation fan, you might enjoy it. You can find it via Google Play. Just search for Blank, a Vinylmation Love Story. Now, here's an announcement that many people are very excited about. The Oscars are coming up on Sunday, March 2nd, and it has been confirmed that Elsa voice from Frozen, Idina Menzel, will indeed be on hand to sing Let It Go during the Academy Awards. You're not going to want to miss that performance. It's been only a handful of times she has actually sung that. She debuted the song back again at the D23 Expo back in August, and now, just a few days ago, this past Sunday night was a special industry-only event. Only about 100 people were there out in California at a small sort of nightclub, and it was select press along with Disney folks, executives, animators, people associated with the movie Frozen, and the cast of Frozen, including Idina Menzel, Kristen Bell, Josh Gad, Santino Fontana. They were all there to sing together the songs of Frozen for the very first time. In fact, for many of these people, it was the first time they had sung the songs since recording them for the movie. Unfortunately, Disney has only released no recording was allowed. The press were there, but they weren't allowed to record anything. Only Disney's own cameras were there, and they've only released about a minute worth of what apparently was a fantastic little concert. So I'm going to play for you what it sounded like, or at least as I wasn't there, unfortunately, but what it sounded like, as much of it as I can play. Beware, this is rather choppy sounding. You're going to get into a song, and then it's just going to end suddenly. But it starts off with Josh Gad, voice of Olaf, of course, giving an introduction, and then runs through kind of a choppy medley of clips of songs, and then it'll all wrap up. So here you go, a bit of live Frozen entertainment.
Evening. That's right. And welcome to an evening dedicated to the music of Frozen. Yes. Apparently Disney didn't realize that they have a concert hall named after them, so we're here at this bar mitzvah venue. Tonight, consider this our love letter to all of you. You guys will be there too when I finally do what Frozen things do in summer. Love is an open door. Love is an open door with you. With you. With you. With you. Love is an open door. Thank you guys so much for sharing this very special night with us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
And of course he was joking there. That's not happening again. May very well be a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing for the small crowd that was there. Wasn't that just the most frustrating thing you've ever listened to? You want to hear those full clips. Maybe someday Disney will release the entire thing. It's not going to end up on the Blu-ray or the DVD because those are already in production, unfortunately, but you never know. Disney might promote those by releasing more of those clips. Anyway, if you want to see video of what you just heard, along with some interview snippets with each of those people and a few others, visit our YouTube channel to check it out. Speaking of YouTube, final note here before wrapping up the news. So there's a video that has popped up on YouTube in the last few days. Very, very popular. Got a lot of attention. I certainly posted it over on our Inside the Magic Facebook page. It shows that Frozen... it was like a trailer from 1995, like an old VHS copy of a trailer for Frozen. Like the movie was released, 19 years ago. Surely that can't be true. Yeah, obviously it's not. A lot of people seem to be falling for it for some reason, though. This seems to be a trend going around YouTube that taking a lot of modern contemporary movies and TV shows and re-editing them into sort of 90s style trailers. Very funny. I've enjoyed watching a lot of those. There's a lot of them on YouTube, and Frozen's just the latest in a line. I did post it over, as I said, on a Facebook page, and it seems a lot of people didn't quite get the joke, that it was indeed a joke, and just, anyway, so go watch it. It's very amusing, but clearly, obviously, Frozen was not made 20 years ago. I would think that's obvious, right? Yeah, anyway, so check that out. I've got it in the show notes and all that. Anyway, that's your news from around the world this week. Here's a fun little money-saving tip, if you will, from Gary, who writes, when thinking of Disney take-home items from your vacation, think of park maps, which are free, and possibly even dining menus. When we were at Disney, we asked for a take-home menu from the 50s Prime Time and Sci-Fi Diner, and we received them. They were free. And in time, they maybe could be worth something on eBay. You never know. Gary, thanks very much for that tip. I don't know about the eBay part. I mean, I guess that's what eBay is for. But it's always great to have freebies to sort of commemorate your trip. You don't have to pay any extra. Maps are certainly a great way to mark the moment. What's on the cover, what are the attractions at the time when you were there. I have a bazillion maps that I've collected over the years. Menus, as long as you're not stealing the ones in there, as long as you ask and get a take-home menu, that's a wonderful thing. Buttons are a good thing as well. City Hall has a lot of great buttons to commemorate a certain anniversary, birthday, first visit, first whatever, all of that sort of thing. So you could certainly ask for those, and yeah, good tip there. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. We have a fantastic new daytime parade on the way out here at the Magic Kingdom. It's called the Festival of Fantasy Parade. And the music you're hearing here, of course, is from Mickey's Soundsational Parade out in California, which is a phenomenal parade. Definitely one of my favorite parades, Disney parades of all time. You definitely want to catch it when you're at Disneyland. But for many years, we've had the same old parade, or variations of the same old parade. Many years at the Magic Kingdom. Finally, we're getting a new one. And I can tell you firsthand, finally, that this new parade is going to be wonderful, because this week, it has been Fashion Week up in New York. You're thinking, what does that have to do with the parade? Well, in honor of Fashion Week, Walt Disney World decided to hold their own special event backstage behind the Magic Kingdom, rolling out the red carpet, turning it into a fashion runway of sorts, a catwalk, if you will, in which they were debuting many of the really elaborate wonderful costumes that they have created for the Festival of Fantasy Parade. It will be debuting officially the parade next month, sometime in March. They didn't want to announce a date quite yet. They're still trying to figure that out, I think. But mid-March, most likely, is when it's going to happen. In addition to showing off the costumes, they also got to have a chance to go up close with 3 of the big, wonderful floats that'll be part of this. Now, the costumes they showed off were inspired by the many films that are included in this parade: The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, Tangled, Brave, Pinocchio, and more. They're creative, they're vibrant, they're unusual, they're definitely different than anything you might otherwise see and you might think of as Disney. Now, they weren't showing off the ones that were connected directly to the main characters would be wearing, the princesses and the Chip and Dale and Tinkerbell and all that. They weren't showing those off. What they were showing off were all of the auxiliary characters, the supporting cast of the parade that will be dancing around the floats, and it seems like there'll be a really excellent. I'm going to have my camera out the whole time, I think, while watching this parade. A lot of great photo opportunities. Now, I've posted a ton of photos and some video of this fashion show that they put on over on the website and on YouTube, but what I have not shared yet was a couple of conversations that I had with some of the people behind the creation of the Festival of Fantasy Parade. Now, the first person that I talked to was one of the costumers for this parade. As I've said, the costumes are phenomenal. They're clearly designed for the daylight. There's a lot of translucence and sparkle and shimmering and pearlescent materials, and they just look stunning when it's bright and sunny out, which is what they are certainly counting on. There's actually going to be more than 100 performers in this parade, so in addition to those main characters, there's going to be a lot of supporting cast, which is fantastic. So anyway, rather than me babbling on and on here about sort of these wonderful costumes, I do want to take you over to this special event to talk to, as I said, one of the costumers for the Festival of Fantasy Parade. I'll let her introduce herself.
My name is Jansen Dupuy, and I am a costumer for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts.
Excellent. The costumes look phenomenal for Festival of Fantasy. I'm particularly looking forward to the Maleficent-related costumes because I like the spookier side of things, but lots of fantasy elements, obviously. Overall, what is the inspiration for the grand look for all these costumes?
I think the inspiration for this parade for all the costumes is classic meets new modern fun. So you can see our steampunk dragon, our Newsies-inspired Lost Boys. So we want to give a new twist on those classic films that everybody knows and loves.
Okay, and so you mentioned the Newsies-inspired Lost Boys. That was sort of a twist I don't think anyone would necessarily expect. The Newsboys out in California have been very popular. Was that, sort of a play off of that?
Yes, I believe so. We just want to give people a surprise, something new, something they haven't seen, but still something that's going to touch their heart because it's their favorite characters. And the Lost Boys are the best way to do that because, they're in the forest, they're animal-inspired, but newsies and just cool, fun, put together.
So all these costumes we saw today are sort of, I don't want to call them the secondary because they are obviously there, but we're not looking at Chip and Dale and Mickey and all those major characters. Can we expect to see them in interesting costumes as well?
Absolutely. Our Fab Five will have wonderful new looks on. They will sport some fun colors. You'll see tons and tons of characters. It's a wonderful spot for everyone to meet and walk down the street.
Was there one particularly challenging costume to develop for this parade?
Yes, the Raven costume was the biggest challenge for me as the costumer. To really incorporate soft goods with hard goods with a moving parts costume was a challenge, but also really fun.
Well, it turned out great. I mean, when that wing reveal happens, I imagine you're going to get a lot of oohs and ahs from the crowd for sure.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part is that there's a surprise element to it, that you don't expect them to span,
What about, we've got a swinging anchor, and I know some of the floats have other moving elements. How do you design the costumes to, take into account those acrobatics?
Well, the floats are incredible, so we really want to do them justice. We have a couple of moving parts like our Raven, our Seahorse, we want to have a couple of things, but we really want to support that float, support the characters. So like you said before, these are our wonderful dancers giving off choreography that is insane, super awesome. So we really just want to make it one cohesive unit, just work together with everybody, float, music, choreography. We have a wonderful team. Everybody comes together just to make a show.
Now we're in the midst of Fashion Week here, walking the red carpet and all of that. I understand that some of these costumes somehow are related to design houses that are around the country or around the world, or?
We do a lot of our costume building here at Walt Disney World. We also have such a large load that we have to go outside. So we did use domestic as well as international vendors for many parts and pieces of the costumes.
So we're not talking like New York big name designers, making the costumes or anything. It's just for a little extra boost.
There's lots of different vendors that we use. It might be one element here and there.
Right.
So it's just a collaboration, really, of a bunch of different people, a bunch of different skills, talents coming together.
And when guests see these performers out there in the streets of the Magic Kingdom for the first time, parade's over, what do you hope they take away with them?
I hope they take away a sense of awe and excitement. I hope they feel like we touched their heart with these classic films, but also we gave them something new, something fun.
Something new and something fun is definitely what I took away from this show that they put on. You can definitely see that mix between classic characters and modern twists and all that. She mentioned the Newsies-inspired Lost Boys, which is a really bizarre sort of mashup of two different Disney concepts that kind of just work together. It's interesting. Likewise, we mentioned several times there the Sleeping Beauty unit, the Maleficent unit. Of course, we've seen already. Disney has unveiled. Through some photos online, the big steampunk-inspired Maleficent dragon that will be part of this parade, and accompanying that massive float will be what are absolutely, from what I've seen so far, my favorite new characters for this parade. This Raven, it's this full. We're not talking about a little sort of normal-sized bird here. This is a performer in a Raven costume that is obviously also sort of steampunk-ish inspired. Very dark, dark purples and blacks, and has this 3D printed sort of beak mask thing, and it's able through this system to spread its wings really wide, and it's really quite menacing, which I think is nice to have that villainous twist to this, that side of Disney, not just stick that in a Halloween parade and leave it there. For this to be part of a daytime parade every single day is wonderful. And in addition to that, there's inspired by the thorns that Maleficent creates, the thorny bushes, there's this great big stilt walker that is just covered in thorns, again hues of purple and black and gray, and it's actually a little bit creepy, maybe a lot creepy, and some kids might look up at that thing standing 8-9 feet tall above them and cower a little bit. It should be pretty exciting to have that as part of something that's a regular occurrence. Of course, in addition to that, there's plenty of happiness surrounding it. There's going to be a massive Disney princess presence as part of the Festival of Fantasy Parade, including it was just announced that Anna and Elsa from Frozen will indeed be part of this parade. They're going to be accompanied by other princesses on the Princess Garden float. It's something like 50 feet long, and so for those who are big princess fans, you'll see that. You'll also see Ariel and Peter Pan and Captain Hook and Tinkerbell, Merida, Rapunzel, Flynn Rider, Mickey, Minnie, Chip, Dale, and many other classic characters as well. So it's certainly not limited to just the supporting cast that I've been talking about here. In addition to all those performers and characters, there will be 40 additional characters that are presented in a sculpture or an animation or a animatronic sort of form. There's a great Sebastian animatronic that sits at the head of the Little Mermaid float that will be moving and looking around, and so on and so forth. So all very interesting there. To learn a little bit more about what it took to develop all of these concepts and some really fun details about that massive Maleficent dragon float, I also spoke to the parade's show director, who I will let introduce himself.
My name is Randy Wojcik. I'm Senior Show Director with Walt Disney Parks and Resorts Creative Entertainment.
Hey, wonderful. Everybody's really, really excited about the Festival of Fantasy Parade. It's the first sort of major new daytime parade to the Magic Kingdom in quite a while. Why is that? Why did it take so long?
I think we wanted to, we always want to raise the bar and get it right, and it was a perfect storm in a good way, that it was just the right time to debut a brand new daytime parade in the Magic Kingdom. And how you set it up, I couldn't have said it better. It's just a brand new state-of-the-art parade that's going to celebrate all things Fantasyland. but we really is creating a fresh, relevant take on a day parade that I think is going to knock our guests' Mickey ears off. I mean, the scale and size of it, many of the floats feel like a Broadway set coming down the parade route. And just the brand new soundtrack and music and costumes that you saw here as part of Fashion Week, it's pretty cool.
What would you say the biggest challenge was bringing this parade here?
Well, we're still going through quite a few challenges as we launch into opening day in March. But challenges are always a good thing because it forces us to be on our A+ game. I think it's between the floats, just the size of them, and there's so much kinetic energy on them. Like, for example, the Peter Pan float that you're seeing right now in static mode. Just all of the movement and playfulness that will take part with the cannons that fire, the Jolly Roger ship rocks, and Captain Hook on the anchor, Tinkerbell on the back of the float. There's just a lot of bells and whistles that we have not done before to this magnitude in a Disney parade. So it's been a challenge, but in a good way.
Well, tell me a little bit about those special moments. I mean, you've unveiled the steampunk-inspired Maleficent Dragon. Are there going to be some fire, smoke, surprises like that?
Yeah, the Maleficent Dragon that is designed in a really cool steampunk design is just gorgeous. We have a wonderful art designer, Richard Improda, and we partnered with Michael Curry Design, his wonderful studio, and it's just been a wonderful mesh of trying to push the envelope and create a new take of the Maleficent Dragon, and done in steampunk style, aside from the spinning wheel that casts the spell and the wings that are articulated and the neck and the head spin. It's going to shoot fire, it breathes smoke. It really is going to feel like a living, breathing creature out there on the parade route.
One more question, the soundtrack. Everybody really, really excited about the Soundsational parade out at Disneyland. Sure. Music is infectious.
Yeah.
Can we expect more of the same out here?
Absolutely. I love what you just said about music. It has to be infectious. It has to move you and make you part of this immersive experience. And what I love about this brand new soundtrack, it's never been heard in any other park before, and it really is going to give the Magic Kingdom and this new parade its own voice. And what I also like about it is that it salutes all the classicness of Peter Pan, Sleeping Beauty, but it's got a really cool, infectious, relevant twist to it.
Okay, wonderful. Looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Thank you.
I am really excited about this. If this is anywhere near as good as Soundsational, it's going to be the first parade in a very long time out here at Walt Disney World that I've actually wanted to see, that I don't go out of my way to avoid. So that could be a great thing. And it is visually stunning from what I've seen so far. I'm sure I will be taking many, many photos of it after it makes its debut, but I already have quite a lot, as I've said. So definitely, if you haven't already, head over to InsideTheMagic.net, check the YouTube channel. I've got 3 videos related to this, plus a whole lot of photos of these great costumes. I couldn't possibly describe them well enough here for it to top what you could do by just simply looking at them over on the site. So again, no specific debut date set yet for the Festival of Fantasy Parade, but it is coming probably roughly a month from now, so stay tuned. I'll let you know as soon as I know, and can't wait.
Here it comes. An Inside the Magic Blu-ray Review.
Now, I've been doing most of the Blu-ray reviewing over on the website lately, but this week one came out that I really wanted to mention here on the show for a very special reason. It is the latest release of The Jungle Book. It is on a Diamond Edition Blu-ray, and there are many, many reasons to be talking about this. First, The Jungle Book, one of the last films, if not the last film that Walt Disney personally was overseeing before he passed away in 1966. The film came out in 1967. He never got to see it completed, didn't get to see the premiere, but it was getting there, you know. So that makes it special unto itself. But more so than that, kind of on an unfortunately related note, this seems to be the last film that features an introduction and a bonus feature with the late Diane Disney Miller. So if for no other reason, this is absolutely worth picking up for that. What you'll get when you pop this, first I should say the Jungle Book looks fantastic in high definition, clearly. They've done a great job sort of, crisping it up, and it sounds great, and the music's wonderful and all of that. You know, the Jungle Book, it's a great movie. That aside, the home release here, as I said, has that introduction from Walt and Lillian's daughter, Diane. She introduces it from the Walt Disney Family Museum, talks a little bit about it, but then there's another bonus feature that's a conversation between her, along with songwriter Richard Sherman, and animator Floyd Norman. The three of them just talk and talk and talk, and it's like sitting down with friends that have this incredible history and connection, obviously, to this particular film. She shares a lot of great little stories about during this time and how her dad, Walt, sort of brought certain characteristics home with him and his home life versus how Richard Sherman and Floyd Norman saw him as sort of the work mode Walt Disney, and how it all related together, and just the stories that are shared are wonderful. How he behaved at home with his family versus work, and just the little amusing anecdotes. And then it gets a little sad at the end. Of course, they're talking about the topic of Walt's death, and then it's all in a tribute to the late Diane Disney Miller. So, a great way to sort of preserve her legacy here. Fortunately, the Walt Disney Family Museum that she founded in San Francisco is still around. Absolutely a must-visit for all Disney fans, but this particular release is one that is worth adding to the collection, just if for nothing else, for this one particular bonus feature. Fortunately, there are other really great ones as well. There's recently in these Diamond Edition releases has been this series of Disney Animation extras. They're actually calling it at Disney Animation, like their Twitter name, and it's a glimpse into Walt Disney Animation Studios, narrated by young animators there, sort of describing little elements that go on a day-by-day basis, just sort of pulling out a topic and saying, hey, this is something cool that happens within Disney Animation. And on this particular release, they're talking about a program called Spark, in which it's been designed to sort of encourage and ignite creativity throughout everybody that works there. Anybody who has an idea for anything cool that they could share, whether it's an idea for a movie, a short, a piece of technology, an animation tool, an animation look, a style, etc. Whatever the idea is, they want to embrace that, and they want to have people give people a way to share that with everybody else. And it actually resulted in some very, very interesting things, as they tell in this extra. Things like Paper Man, the fantastic short, definitely were a result in some form out of the Spark program. So another really interesting bonus there. And then if you're big into Disney's Animal Kingdom, of course, we're talking about the Jungle Book and nature and all of that ties right into Animal Kingdom very well. There's a very surprisingly long, maybe even a little bit too long, of a bonus feature on here called I Want to Be Like You. And it's hosted by a couple of the young stars from Disney Channel's Dog with a Blog. I had never heard of these kids before, but the girl, she calls herself G. Very entertaining, actually, she's incredibly young, but a good host. She and another kid from the show sort of take a look behind the scenes at Animal Kingdom and get to do different things in helping to care for the animals there. It's actually a really well-produced piece. It's got that sort of Disney Channel twist to it, so you might get a little agitated after a while, but it's interesting. It is rather long, but it's a good, extra feature on there. Then there's, karaoke and trivia and extra features from previous DVD releases, but really overall a really nice package for a film that, Jungle Book is not one of my personal favorites out of the grand catalog of Disney films, but this is one that even if you're not a big fan of the Jungle Book itself, for these extras, I would really recommend picking it up, and that Blu-ray is available today, so go get it. Also, I should mention, over on the website, I did also review the Blu-ray for Thor: The Dark World, which comes out a week and a half from now or so. So you can go check that out on the website as well.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic Listener Feedback.
And a little bit of listener feedback before wrapping up the show. Dave writes in, says, I've noticed an interesting trend at Universal Studios Orlando. I don't know much about the other Universal Studios theme parks, but it seems here they're trying to keep up with the times by canning or recycling older attractions. We saw this when they replaced Hanna-Barbera with the Nicktoons and now Despicable Me, Simpsons replacing Back to the Future, etc. With Back to the Future, Hanna-Barbera, and Nicktoons, King Kong, and now Jaws gone, I think it's safe to assume that we'll be seeing the final curtains for E.T. and T2 fairly soon. I would even go as far as to say as The Mummy is on the same path since it's not really a relevant franchise anymore. Do you see Universal doing anything in the near future with these attractions? Of course, this is nothing more than speculation and nothing is announced, but I think it's an interesting topic to leave open for discussion. David, is actually a really interesting topic because if you look at Disney, there are those classic attractions that they just wouldn't ever get rid of, right? There's the built-in nostalgia for things like the Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean, and It's a Small World, and those are just sort of untouchable. They can update them, they can upgrade them, they can modify them, but they're not going to go away. I mean, there would be a riot if they did. But then they do sort of replace things from time to time, and they make that choice. Is this going to be upgraded versus is this done and over with and we're going to move on? And that choice is made a lot. Now, at Universal, it seems like nothing is sacred. They will get rid of just about anything and replace it with something newer. It's not like that they don't have room to expand. I mean, there is room in Islands of Adventure at Universal Studios, at even maybe for a third theme park potentially if they don't go build 10 more hotels, which they might. It's interesting to see the different approach there. So while there may be a connection to something like Back to the Future, which I loved, King Kong, which I miss, and now Jaws, as you said, which, I mean, as much as I liked that, I would much rather have what they're building with the world of Harry Potter. That's going to be phenomenal. But it is an interesting topic to watch Universal sort of bulldoze over, quite literally, their history in favor of new things and just staying on that pulse of pop culture today. So I think you're right in that likely E.T., Terminator 2 are on the way out. Again, nothing announced, but Terminator 2 in California closed recently to make way for Despicable Me. That's the new hit thing, but even Despicable Me is going to come and go. I don't see that being a one that's going to stick around for 30 years. 10 years from now, that might be something else. Probably will be, in fact. Likewise, you mentioned The Mummy. That is a lot of people's favorite attraction for many people. I don't see that disappearing anytime soon, but eventually, sure, yeah. Another one, Ghostbusters. I miss the old Ghostbusters stage show, but now Twister is there, and I don't really care. I'd rather have Ghostbusters. I think most people would probably rather have Ghostbusters, but it's the old Alfred Hitchcock thing that was great years ago, and that's not there anymore. But now now we have like Transformers there, which is fantastic. So it's give a little, take a whole lot more. So I don't know. I don't think there really is an answer to your question other than sort of the approach that the parks, different companies take to these topics. One is bringing your nostalgia, your childhood back and keeping those memories alive, whereas the other is just like, hey, we're going to throw the newest, coolest thing at you at all times, and then when you're tired of it, we're just going to get rid of it and we're going to put something else there. So I can't say one approach is necessarily right or wrong, but it's there, and it's fun to watch. Next email's from Alex in San Diego, who writes, I appreciated in one of your latest podcasts speaking about the Yeti and disrepair at Expedition Everest. It was the first time I had heard about it. I became very upset about it and did further research on the problem and discovered how insurmountable the problem is. After having seen the working mechanism in all its 25-foot-tall majesty, it saddens me to know that I will never see this effect and will instead get the strobe. I know the practical answer is that they won't spend the amount of money that will be needed to fix the effect, and that it's worth it to keep the thing as it is. That just isn't acceptable after all the hype to deliver a giant statue with strobes is ridiculous. I feel Disney should do whatever is necessary to fix the ride, and this goes for other rides that have half-working effects. The non-working Yeti is akin to going on the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland and staring at the boulder ball that doesn't roll forward and just sits there with a strobe light on it. Alex, interesting comparison there. There are certainly few attractions that are so reliant on one major effect like Expedition Everest. The Yeti is the thing. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit here and there. There's like the silhouette projection and, a bird on a stick and things like that. But for the most part, it is the Yeti. And so for that to not be there, the attraction simply remains as a thrill ride, a very well-themed thrill ride. Now, Indiana Jones has a lot more going for it than just the rolling giant boulder at the end of the ride. If that effect were to be not working and they just sort of cheated it a little bit with lighting, I mean, and the effect is really legitimately an effect to begin with. So it kind of is a play on your senses. It doesn't really do what you might think it does, but if it for some reason was malfunctioning and they just threw a strobe light on it wouldn't be the end of the world for that ride because there's so much else to look at. But when it comes to Expedition Everest, a lot of it's just in the dark. So you're still getting the thrill element of it, but you're right, it is disappointing that the Yeti is non-functional. I don't really know that there is a point to this discussion because no amount of complaining will ever convince Disney to do one thing or the other. It's really just something that they would eventually have to pull the trigger on their own. Maybe in honor of some major anniversary of the ride, they'll finally make it work again. But until then, as long as guests are praising it as a fun, fulfilling attraction, then I don't really see a reason for them to have to fix it from a business standpoint. So it's there. I'm not happy with it by any means at all. I agree it's a little ridiculous, but there he stands, motionless. Last email this week comes in from Lexi, who writes, a few weeks ago, someone in listener feedback asked if Disney might be planning to make more Disney villain movies in the style of Maleficent that's coming out soon. While I know of no such plans for this, and I agree that not all villains would be suited to it, a theater company called Star Kid has made an original musical for Jafar in the style of Wicked and uploaded the entire thing to YouTube. It's called Twisted, the untold story of a royal vizier. And it's incredibly funny. The entire cast and creative team are all massive Disney fans. Unfortunately, the production is mostly whitewashed, white actors playing characters from the Middle East, but the book and music are incredible. Please note that the production contains very strong adult language, so I would only recommend it for high school age and above. Lexi, thanks for that. I hadn't heard of that, but I've heard of Star Kid. Haven't heard of this particular Jafar musical before, so I'll have to check that out at some point. So clearly there is an audience for that. I think some villains would certainly be better than others for supporting their own in a production like that, or even in a movie. I'm sure with the right story and the right actor it could work, but let's just see what we can do to get through Angelina Jolie's performance first and see where it goes from there. And that'll do it for listener feedback this week.
Tomorrow.
And here we are, the end of show 463. Looks like we're coming up a little shy of an hour once again. Maybe I'm making up for all those times where I went way over an hour. I don't know. It just depends on what's going on each week. And this week, other than a really fantastic preview of the Festival of Fantasy Parade, there wasn't too much else other than some disappointing news when it comes to a trash can and a parade, different parade. But anyway, coming up very soon, I am going to be talking all about Toy Fair. Should be some really exciting things coming out of that event. In fact, I'll let you in on a little secret here. The reason why this show may be a little bit short is because I'm actually recording this on Thursday, February 13th, before I head up to New York for several days for Toy Fair. So I had to record a little bit early, but still releasing on Sunday. The magic of podcasting there. So anyway, that is the details for this show. Next week you can surely expect to see some sort of excitement and fun from the world of Disney from Toy Fair, and whatever other news pops up. Certainly there will be plenty to look forward to, and definitely visit the website insidethemagic.net to stay on top of whatever news I am posting currently from Toy Fair. Always a really fun event. It was my second year covering it, and after the first year I just had to go back because it was an absolute blast, not only for Disney but a lot of other really fun toys. Simply. I mean, who doesn't like toys, right? So, anyway, I thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. And once again, between episodes of this show, be sure to visit InsideTheMagic.net. You'll find all of our show notes and music listings and links that are related to the show and all that, and also links to find us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, so you can join in fascinating discussions like whether or not the 1995 VHS trailer of Frozen is real. Yeah, check that one out if you have some time. Head over to Facebook. Just read through that. You'll find it interesting. Anyway, of course, podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, all that stuff on the website, and keeping up with all the latest Disney and theme park news. So, thanks to all of you for listening each and every week, and do have a magical week.
Shining at the end of every day, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.